The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of my Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Yeah, I started from PBS Kids. What you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video. Ooh, shit. Go down. Down. Also, I fixed my mic. Yay, the mic actually works again. It was something on my end. But y'all, this has had me upset for days now. And I'm finally starting to find the words as to why this shit has me so upset. And part of that has to be like, there are numerous other things that we could be dragging the Disney company for. Like, why we gotta make shit up? Why we gotta lie? Come on. Hey y'all, it's Harriana and I'm back with another video. Hi, hello, how are you doing? My name is Harriana and welcome to or welcome back to the pirate ship, also known as Harry Hook's pirate ship. I'm the captain, you are not my first mate. I don't got no first mate because you want to know why. Bring your ear closer to the speaker so you can hear me clearly. Nobody's worthy of being the first mate. But hi, hello, how are you doing? My name is Harriana and I like to make content based on nostalgia and family and children's entertainment and all the issues that I find within those spaces. Now, on today's episode of Disney December, this was really unplanned. By the way, Disney December is a series that I do every December on my channel where I sit here and talk about the Disney company and so many things that are related to it. I have gotten the idea from Doug Walker and his Disney December series, but I wanted to do my own version of that. So moving forward from there, if you are not familiar about what has been going on within the video essay sphere, and not even just kind of like the video essay sphere, just people that just make videos talking about media in the world and society and all that shit, there has been our own version of Bye Sister. We are having our own Bye Sister currently. And it has had me like so irritated and like so frustrated for the most part. But if you guys are not familiar, there is a creator by the name of James Somerton, and I was a subscriber of this person. I really did enjoy their content at the time. Like, he has a lot of plagiarism within his work. He steals from a lot of gay writers and creators in general, and all that. It's a hot ass mess, okay? But aside from him taking his material and playing it off as his own from numerous people, he also has this thing where it's just kind of like a lot of issues within the work he makes. And so much of it is just like things that just like are not right. Like, oh, that's not correct. I tried to fact check that and I couldn't find that shit. And it's not even just like that. It's just so many other things are just kind of like lies and like making up shit and whatnot. And I just want to speak about it because when I was watching Todd in the Shadows video about this, and mind you, this is not necessarily like a drama video or nothing, because I don't want people to think that this is drama. This is not a drama channel or whatever. But it just kind of reminded me of this thing that I have noticed when it comes to the subject of critiquing the Disney company. And a lot of James's videos would have to do with critiquing the Disney company, and half of the information that would be in these videos would be correct because, you know, the shit that he stole from people's articles and books and such. But then also a lot of the shit that he was saying was just kind of like reaches and lies and whatnot. And when I say reaches, it's just like over exaggerating and whatnot. And I understand that in my work I feel as if I can be reaching. A lot of people tell me that I be reaching and whatnot. But when it comes to like my critiques with Disney versus like what James was doing, I noticed that James was more so talking about like the behind the scenes aspects, the things that were not necessarily put into the works and such. And also I have to, you know, talk about how I mainly focus more on race in Disney, and James mainly focused more about how Disney treats gay people and such. So mainly I noticed like with his Disney's critiques, it would mainly be stuff that would be going on behind the scenes. And with me, I mainly talk about about so much of what we see on camera from the company and the changes that they would make from the works that they adapt and whatnot. And I'm gonna be honest, there are times where I have gotten shit wrong and I have owned up to it and this and that and the third. But like, you know, we're not perfect, we make mistakes and whatnot. But I do try to be a little bit more extra careful now when it comes to that, when I do get certain things wrong. But also, so much of what I talk about is things that I pull from like my schoolwork. For those of you guys who are not familiar with me, I am minoring in African American studies in college and university specifically, and we talk a lot about like television tropes and the portrayal of blackness within our media, and we do bring up the subject of Disney often. And I remember in one of my film classes in school, we were talking about Disney's portrayal of minorities in general, not just black people and just people of color, other things that make people a part of marginalized groups. We do sit and talk about the Disney company. We do critique them with how they portray, you know, just people in our world and our society. And that is so much of what I talk about when it comes to my critiques of Disney. It really just pulls from, you know, TV tropes, harmful tropes, stereotypes, all of that in the sorts. And I do talk about like the casting and who they choose to have these characters and colorism and all that. So much of that is just like me pulling from like the sources, not me just saying they didn't hire this person because they were black, they didn't want to do this and that and the third, because a lot of times I can't necessarily prove a lot of that shit, but a lot of it is just like really big on speculation. And when we get into things like that, it just reminded me of how when it comes to companies that are notorious for having very, very bad things relating to race or sexuality or just anything that falls under the subject of bigoted shit, when people throw out something that is like, you know, hey, this is wrong, this is ignorant, a lot of people tend to fall for it. And I'm going to talk about the Nickelodeon company real quick, because this is one big lie that has really, like, it has skyrocketed and it has went on so far to the point where people really do believe that this is true. And I have talked about it before on my channel saying like, hey, this isn't true. There's numerous issues with this show. This isn't one of them. And it has to do with the subject of Sam from iCarly. If you guys have read Jeanette McCurdy's book, I'm Glad My Mom Died, we are just pretty much familiar with how, like, you know, how Nickelodeon is and all that shit. But in a say about like the summer of 2020, there was this thing that was going around that people were saying that Sam was supposedly, like, she was supposed to be black. Like, the character of Sam Puckett was supposed to be black. And the reason why people were saying that Sam was supposed to be black is because of the way she was written. She was a girl that loved, like, fried chicken, and she was really loud, screaming in your face. She got bad grades. She didn't, like, bathe herself, which is funny because if you guys actually look at the history of, like, cleanliness and whatnot, white people was not washing. Like, did y'all not learn? Okay, anyway. But we learned so much, like, about like stereotypes and such, that so many people just assume that, well, since all of these things went into Sam's character, she must have been black. And I looked and I looked and I looked and I looked, and I was like, y'all, I'm not finding any source that is saying that Sam was supposed to be like a black girl before Jeanette got the role. Like, And then also at this time period, Dan Snyder was not over here casting blacks to be the leads. Okay, at this time period, he was most definitely not. Like, even though he like worked with Kenan and Kel wasn't technically his show, but anyway, you get what I'm saying. I'm like, listen, did we watch the same series? Did we not? But there was nothing that I could find that was saying that Sam was supposed to be black. But it's just something that has just keep going and going and going and going and going, where people just assume that this is correct. And moving back to the Disney company, I remember that there was this one lie that literally went fucking viral, and it was relating to the Cheetah Girls. And I've talked about this before on my channel too, just as well, where there was just this lie going around saying that Aquanet and Anjanette, these two twin characters in the Cheetah Girls series, because if you guys don't know, the Cheetah Girls is a book series written by a woman of color, a biracial woman of color. She's half white, half black. I don't think she learned she was half white until she was like in adulthood. But the Cheetah Girls series, them books is black as hell, okay? I've read the books, I have them, I own them. So this is why I knew about this right here. But if I didn't know about this shit, I most likely would have believed this. There was two twins in the book named Aquanet and Anjanette. They were both black girls, both dark skinned specifically. And the movie decided to remove Anjanette. Now, that is correct, mainly because I think it has something to do with, like, they felt like it was just too many people or whatnot. I forgot the particular reason as to why Anjanette wasn't in the film. Because in the books, the Cheetah Girls consisted of 5 girls in their group. It was Dorinda, Chanel, Galleria, Aquanet, and Anjanette. So they got rid of Anjanette, so now it was just 4 girls, which was Galleria, Chanel, Aqua, and Dorinda. So those are like the Cheetah Girls that everybody really knows. But people were saying that they took Aqua's sister out to put a white girl in the story, and that white girl was Dorinda. And I was like, this is how I know y'all did not read those books. This is how I know y'all did not read those books, because Dorinda was always there. Like, it is true that Dorinda was white in the movie. That most definitely is true. But she did not replace Anjanette. They just removed Anjanette from being in the film. But also, we do need to bring up that Dorinda was half white in the book. Like, Dorinda was biracial. She was half white, half black. She doesn't necessarily learn that she's half white until later on in the story, because Dorinda lived up in foster care. But then also within the Cheetah Girls books, the girls were like all black or like mixed black. Like, Chanel is Afro-Latina, Galleria was half black, half Italian, the twins were black, and Dorinda was biracial, half black, half white. Like, that shit could have been checked if people just simply read the book. And it was something that was introduced early on in the book series too. But it really scared me, because that shit had so many people just going behind it and saying that they replaced the black girl with a white girl that wasn't there. And I was like, no, y'all, please go read the book. Please read the book. But the reason why that shit scares me is because that situation right there just reminds me so much of, like, so much of the content that James was making about Disney, because I was believing it. These were things that I didn't know. Like, I wasn't sure, and I didn't necessarily know about any of them, because I am somebody that wants to do better when it comes to learning about gay history, because gay history is world history, it's American history. It is the shit that they need to be teaching us. And while I am very, like, you know, more familiar when it comes to the way Disney treats people of color, especially those who are black or mixed with black, I'm way more familiar with that than, like, you know, Disney's, like, you know, what they have to do with gay people and such. I want to learn more about these things. I want to know more about gay Hollywood history or whatever. I just want to know more about gay history in general, because I think that's important. And part of the reason why I watched James's channel is because I wanted to learn about these issues. And mind you that he's not the only channel that I was watching when it came to these issues. I was watching Shansphere, I watched Khadijah. I do watch quite a bit of you know, I watch a lot of creators that ain't straight. Hey, editing me here. One more person that I really want to highlight that has helped me learn so much about gay history would have to be Princess Weeks. Princess Weeks is a creator that has been on YouTube before 2020. I didn't start watching her until 2020, because that's when I didn't find her channel. And I wish I found her channel earlier, but go watch her. She make good content. Go over there. You won't regret it. Let's just go ahead and say that. So I watched, like, a lot of these people, and I watched a lot of James's videos, mainly because James did talk about, like, things that I've talked about on my channel, that being Disney. And I just feel very hurt and just kind of, like, frustrated, because, like, so much of what he was saying in those videos wasn't true, and it's just very hurtful to know that. But a part of me is just like, I wish I, like, kind of knew a little sooner. Like, I wish I picked up on this sooner, because if I'd known, I would have been like, where are the sources? Because usually with a lot of YouTube videos, I go down and look in the link below, and I will see the sources, or the sources will be on screen and whatnot. And I have started to do much better when it comes to, like, linking sources and whatnot. If a lot of, like, my videos are me talking about my personal experience and whatnot, like when I tell story times or talk about certain situations or whatever, that's, like, something else, because that's, like, personal stuff to me. But when it comes to, like, talking about history and facts and talking about stereotypes and shit like that, I do make sure that I am linking things, and I do a lot better about it now than I did in the past. Like, in 2020, I really could have done a lot better when it comes to listing sources. But this is just, like, constant behavior what he was doing on his channel, constantly saying that Disney did this and Disney did that and Disney did this, and I'm like, okay, like, it's just frustrating because he was fully aware that so many of us were coming to his channel to learn about gay history, and we specifically really wanted to know about what this had to do with the Disney company, because that company always in hot ass water. Okay, free Palestine, by the way. So we get over here and we're just like, what? Honestly, let this be a lesson to be learned that we do. While these videos on YouTube can help us learn, and I always say that this is like a good starter when it comes to wanting to learn more about the world. In my book, Do Not Call Me Sis, which is a collection of essays about misogynoir, ableism, white feminism, like fandom, entertainment. It's a book that me and my friend Amaya Janelle wrote. It's on my website, by the way, a little shameless plug. But in that book, there's a section where I talk about how we can do better when it comes to learning. And I said a good way to get started when it comes to learning about like the issues within our world and learning about people who are not like us would have to be watching videos on YouTube. But also I did mention that we do need to be looking at these sources that are listed in these videos and clicking on them and reading about them. We do need to continue on reading when it comes to this information. And I find it frustrating how he was fully aware that so many of the people in his audience were young people that wanted to learn more about the things going on. Because I'm somebody that loves to learn. I'm a nerd, okay? My TV stay on the Travel Channel, it stay on the Food Network, it stay on the History Channel when they actually are like teaching important shit and it's not ghost stories. Like, I'm somebody that genuinely likes to learn. I am always watching video essays. I am always reading educational books and whatnot. Learning is something that I truly enjoy doing. And seeing that James literally like took advantage of so many people that really wanted to do better about their education, because, you know, our school systems don't provide that, and usually in college you have to pay an arm and a leg to learn. That is part of the reason why I value my college education that I am getting so much, and why I choose to take so many of the things that I learned there and present them here on my channel. But even still, when I talk about the sources that I be using for school and whatnot, I link them down below because I want y'all to go look at them and check them out for yourselves. And you might have noticed something different in there that I didn't. But with him, it's just frustrating. Because I'm like, you are literally taking advantage of the fact that the Disney company is problematic as hell. And while yes, we do need to talk about these problems here, why we gotta lie? Why you gotta lie? I remember there was this song by Abra that I used to listen to back in the day. It was on her like SoundCloud, and it was called like Why You Gotta Lie. Like, no, like there's a lot of things that need to like be unpacked with the Disney company that we can speak about. But like, why we gotta bring this up? No, I'm sorry y'all for like ranting right now. It's just I feel like so irritated and I feel so frustrated because shit like this is like why it be so hard to get people to learn about what's going on. Because we'll have somebody sit here and cry wolf and say, oh, they did this and then the third, like the thing with Sam and then the thing with this. We are aware that these companies are a mess. So then, you know, people go and lie and say that this happened and that happened and that happened. And then it just leads to like a plethora of fuckery. That's literally what it is. It leads to so much fuckery, and it makes matters even frustrating and much worse. There are problems with the Cheetah Girls series, by the way, and how Disney whitewashed the entire story. But them getting rid of Anne Jeanette and saying that they replaced her with Dorinda isn't necessarily true. The Cheetah Girls was whitewashed, but that aspect right there that people were saying that was whitewashing is completely false. Yes, the Disney company does have a long history of homophobia, but so much of what James was spewing in his videos wasn't true. We do need to sit and learn about our history, and I think it's very important that we do that. But also, fact-checking is very important. I remember it was the Modern Girls who was talking about it, and she mentioned something in her video about like Betty Boop and how there was so much misinformation that was being spread about Betty Boop and like, you know, who did what, was Betty Boop really based off of this and that and the third. And she mentioned something talking about how while yeah, there is a long history of, you know, black people not being credited for their work and whatnot, we do need to make sure we are doing proper fact checking and shit. Like, that is something that we definitely need to be doing. And that's why I am very big on, you know, checking the internet archives, like, you know, the old publications and whatnot, using your sources that you are getting in your college textbooks and whatnot, because a lot of that shit has very valuable information in there. Like, so many of these require readings that I have to read for school, I can't find them online, but they're literally sitting in my damn textbook right there. I'm gonna go get up and grab it, by the way. Let me, hold up. Okay, it's called African American Literature, and it has a lot of works in here that I can't find, like, that won't give my computer a fucking virus. I do pull a bit from this book and like my other books that I have gotten for you know, studying African American studies. And part of the reason why I study this shit in the first place is because I do think it's important to learn about Black history in so many aspects. It's just, this entire situation has just been frustrating, and I've just been trying to figure out why it's been bothering me so bad. And I'll talk about it a little bit more on my Patreon about why it bothered me so much. But seeing how, like, we are in a big age of anti-intellectualism. We have always lived in a society that made us think like reading is uncool. That's why we be pushing y'all to go watch Arthur, because Arthur was like, you know, you cool if you got a library card, you cool if you read books. And I am very, very big advocate on this damn channel when it comes to reading, because I be saying niggas need to read all the time. Niggas don't read, and y'all need to go and read, please. Read a damn book. Like, please. Like the song, read a book, nigga, please. Read a book. I am a big advocate when it comes to reading and shit like that, because like I said, we're in a very big age of anti-intellectualism. And what James did when he was talking about so much of the Disney company was extremely dangerous, because so many of these people were just taking his words. They were like, okay, I'm listening to you, and you have this big following. You have this and that and the third. Your production value is very high, because his videos were well edited. His camera quality was very, very good. His camera that he was using is much more expensive than the one I have here. And also, I broke the sound on this camera, so y'all be hearing when it be sounding sizzly and cracking and shit like that. Like, he literally had all of this making it look like he knew what he was talking about. He literally was getting on here talking in a way where, you know, respectability politics come into play. He didn't really have like a lisp or anything like that. He wasn't talking like with like a accent or whatever, wasn't cussing and whatnot. He wasn't stumbling over his words, because he set himself up to look as if he was very professional and knew what the fuck he was doing. We paid for it because we bought it. We bought it. We bought it. I legit thought he knew what the fuck he was doing because of how well produced his videos were. But then again, that just goes to show you, like I said, make sure you are reading, make sure you are doing your own research and such. Because, yeah, like I'm telling y'all, this entire situation has just felt like a psychological horror. Like, it just feels like a psychological horror. Because after the end of that video, I was literally sitting there like dumbfounded. Like, literally just dumbfounded and like super duper shocked and disgusted almost to a certain extent. And I'm just sad. And yeah, y'all, we should be talking about the history of the Disney company and the things that are lesser known and don't be wanting to be talked about. But y'all, like, please read. Please go look at these things for yourself. I do what I can to sit here and talk about the way Disney portrays people of color within their films and whatnot. I do try to make sure I do have credible sources and whatnot, even when I'm just talking about tropes and whatever. I do try to make sure I am doing my best when it comes to talking about the Disney company from an intellectual perspective. And when I say like intellectual, I mean like thinking, like, you know, reading between the lines, actually sitting here and analyzing how they portray society and whatnot, especially when it comes to like that video I made about the Hunchback of Notre Dame, because that has to be one of my favorite videos I think I have made about the Disney company to this day. And mainly because a big chunk of that video was me talking about how the film showed how society treats like women of color. Like, it was actually terrifying, horrifying, and I love the movie so much. But oh my god, this is frustrating. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna end it here, because it's like the more I go on about this, the more I'm just gonna keep ranting. Like I said, this was not planned at all for Disney December. This was not planned at all for Disney December. The Disney December lineup has kept changing. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and end this now. Thank you guys so much for watching. And like I said, I don't even feel like promoting myself right now. I don't even feel like promoting my shit. But I appreciate this. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Specifically, the next episode of Disney December. Alright, thank you. Goodbye.